in this industry, once you've proven yourself as someone who's pretty good in doing syndications and you can close deals and you are like a reputable sponsor, brokers will send you deals, and they not just send you open market deals or off market deals. They will also send you deals that are already under contract, and they will tell you that so and so buyer is not going to perform, and we are worried. If you can come in and even offer a lower price, we'll hand it off to you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we also have people, because of the ecosystem, they will get a deal under contract and they will contact me and say, Perry, I heard that you have a good network, you can raise money. Do you want to become one of our co-sponsors?
You're listening to the Rich State of Mind Show, the podcast made to make you the total package in the entrepreneurial world and give you what we call a rich state of mind. If you are here looking to learn about real estate investing, marketing, elevating your business, and developing your mindset to get to the next level, then you are at the right place. Stay tuned and be sure to join our community on richstateofmind.com. Now here's your host, Anthony Ritchie.
Hey, Perry, thanks for taking the time. I'm really excited about this episode because we're taking a different angle with real estate investing, the syndication portion of it. So if you could please just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Perryzane. I am a real estate entrepreneur as well as a syndicator. I have 840 units as a lead sponsor in Dallas, Texas. I live in Seattle, Washington, and I'm also the founder and CEO of Cash Flow Portal, a real estate syndication software company.
Awesome. And so what made you get into real estate investing?
Yeah. I got into real estate investing about 6 years ago when I first bought my condo in San Francisco. At the time, I house hacked it. It's a 3-bedroom condo. I live in one of the bedrooms, rent out the other 2. And I felt that was an easy way to keep my monthly payments low. Then I started house hacking more properties in Seattle, Washington, where I stay until now. I bought a 5-bedroom house and then rent out the other 4. So I still have housemates to this day, even though I could pretty much live anywhere I want to. I am a person of frugality, and house hacking allowed me to kind of kickstart the engine. After about 3 or 4 deals, I started getting into multifamily.
Okay. And so you house hacked your rooms at first. Most people, we talk about house hacking, different units, maybe in a triplex, quadruplex, duplex, but you house hacked your rooms. So you were basically living rent free?
Absolutely. Now in Seattle, it's kind of difficult to get a duplex or triplex. So I wish I could live by myself. So it's more expensive. That's why I house hack the rooms in a single family. And that's unfortunate, correct. In Seattle, it's hard to make the numbers work, but I think I was paying about $100 before I take into account of the tax discounts. So I was still paying, but if you take into the depreciation, it's basically rent free.
And so what made you want to go from single family to multifamily?
Yeah, good question. The biggest reason is with 3 or 4 or 5 single families in the Bay Area and Seattle, I am maxing out my debt to income ratio. So I almost have no choice but to start looking outside of single family.
Okay, so I like that.
Yeah. And second is it felt like I was buying one house every 9 months to 12 months, and that's kind of slow. And I wanted to move faster. And third way is single families taught me how to be a landlord. And I was managing about 20, tenants at that point, tenants, quote unquote, because they're like housemates, basically, across 4 different houses. And it didn't feel like a way to achieve true financial freedom. It's going too slow. So definitely going to multifamily to scale up.
Yes. And so I just recently spoke to one of my guests about, taking it in strides and steps. And you started with single family, house hacking rooms, right? And then you went into the multifamily aspect, and now, and then eventually into syndicating, which I think all those were prerequisites up until where you are now. And so, and it gave you appreciation too. You definitely, did you find yourself having to do your own projects? Like you had to fix things on your own, or did you outsource to that?
Great question. So everyone's strengths are different. My strengths are I have a high-paying W-2 job. I had a high-paying W-2 job. I was working at a pre-IPO company. So I work really hard in my work, so I don't have much time. But what I do have is I do have the capital. I look really good in front of the lender, to the lender. And I usually just hire people to do all the contracting work. By trade, I'm an engineering manager. So I learn through my work on how to manage people.
Yes. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
And I think that translates very well over into the syndication part, because syndication requires a lot of managing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so explain to me, how did you transition from multifamily and decided to get into syndicating?
Yeah. Going into syndicating, we started with a 7-unit. We basically flipped that 7-unit and returning investors about 60% return in a year and a half. And then we tried to get a larger apartment complex. That took us about 9 months to get our first true apartment complex. That is a 172 unit, where I'm one of the 2 lead sponsors. And that one is in Dallas, Texas. We bought it's a heavy value app. So we did a ton of work to it. We're selling it this coming year in maybe about 2 months. Already got the signed, the executed PSA. And we're looking at about 70% return in 2 years for our investors. So yeah, it's definitely, it's a lot of grind. The first step is to get to know the commercial brokers. Then you need to know the commercial lenders, the property management company, and the different vendors that make up the multifamily, such as tax consultants and water conservation folks and insurance folks. So it's a lot of networking. I was flying down to Texas every month to just meet people.
Okay, because that was my next question. How were you networking? How were you able to cooperate with somebody else? Was it people you already knew, or you were meeting them?
Yeah. I think hindsight is 2020. But I was blessed with a really good business partner. We met when we were already working on the single families. He and I met on bigger packets. His name is Edward Sittler. And when we were still when I was still in the Bay Area. Now we joined a mentorship group as well, and he moved to Dallas to be the full-time boots on the ground, full-time investor. Now I am still in Seattle, having my W-2 job. So he was doing a lot of the underwriting. He was checking out the properties. We'll make the offer together. I will review the underwriting on the weekends and the nights, and then takes a lot of grind to get that first deal. I still remember, because of the mentorship program, every month there's some kind of networking events. So when I went there were a lot of other experienced sponsors whom I will try to ask different questions and learn different things. And from them, we also know who are the best property management companies we should go to. We know who will be the best due diligence team we should use. And we know who are the best lenders that we can use. So knowledge is power. Through a lot of them, we learn a ton of knowledge. Also, we learn it provides us this feedback that people have done it. It's not that hard. And if we don't know what to do, we can just always ask people. So that ecosystem really, really helped. Now, we were super frugal then because before we made it, every time when I visited Dallas for these networking events, I will sleep in the living room with my business. My business partner has his own bedroom, and I will just sleep in the living room on an air mattress. But now I stay at the hotels.
Well, you're the first person I heard that said they flipped a 7-unit, and that was your first syndication.
Yeah, it's technically a JV, but it's the first time we just ask. We raise money, quote unquote, right? We get money as in the form of equity, and then when they sell, they get paid based on equity.
Awesome. And I was just speaking about using getting your profits based off of equity. and how you talked about 60% returns within a year, you said?
60% return in 18 months.
18 months, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is all, where was this 7 unit at?
This is in Tacoma, Washington.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you're I notice you're in Washington, Bay Area, Texas. These are your 3 areas that you've been speaking on. Okay,
right.
so you got your feet wet, you're in syndicating, and then now you started this cash flow portal. What is this? What is that? What is cash flow portal?
So cash flow portal is a real estate syndication software that helps sponsors streamline their equity raising, automate operations, and save time in their back office. To give you the pain point that we as syndicators had to do. So on our first deal, we raised about $4.3 million from 70 investors. So that means 70 DocuSigns that I need to send out. And they signed it, they send it back. We open up the document, look at the name, the investment amount, put it in the spreadsheet, we countersign it, we send it back. Then we send an email with the wire instructions and the wire attachment. We check the bank every day. And then once we receive the wire, we send them another email saying the wire has been received. And we do that for 70 investors. Then afterwards, we keep track of 70 investors' distributions and their bank accounts and ACH and a social security number. That doesn't seem very secure. That doesn't seem very accessible. If the investors need to update their address, they have to email us and we go to the spreadsheet to change it. And at some point I said, enough with this. This is stupid. Why am I doing this? I didn't quit my job to achieve financial freedom to be answering and updating spreadsheets. So, there were softwares out there, but they were very expensive. It was like $1,200 a month for up to 5 properties. And we only have 1 property. So it was exorbitantly expensive for us who only have 1 property. So I decided to create my own software to tackle these pain points in real estate syndication industry.
Okay, man. So that was simplifying it, because creating your own software is not something everybody could do every day. Break that down. What does the software do? Yeah.
So it helps you. Everything will be on the portal. You can create a deal, you can create an offering, and the offering you can add in metrics such as, what is the minimum investment, how much you're trying to raise, what are the classes of that investment, class A, class B, class C, what will be the ownership percentage, preferred return, or cash and cash projections. Then you add a quick summary. Then you add your any biographies or resumes that you can attach, or the webinar deck. Then you can add legal documents. That's actually where you spend most of your time, adding these signature fields and basically preparing that DocuSign. But we made it super easy for you to prepare your DocuSign. Then once you all get it ready, there's a link that you just send to your investors. Investors create an account in like 2 seconds, 30 seconds, then they can start investing into your deal. The whole process end to end takes about 10 minutes at most, compared to traditionally, they will have to go back and forth with email. And then after that, post-acquisition, you can also send them emails of monthly updates. You can send them distributions directly from the website. So it's a centralized source of truth for these investors who want a professional and modern way to interact with their sponsors.
Have you ever thought about selling the software or spreading it? This is awesome.
Yeah. Great question. So we are growing crazy. We're growing. Used to be 80% week over week. Now it's 80% month over month. And we just raised a few $1 million in just 2 or 3 days because there's a ton of interest. And like this is my whole career. I syndicated. We had a good reputation. I came from a software world, so I know how to build good software. We built a great team of 10 people that are cranking on it. And with the new money, we're definitely accelerating our growth. And so people in certain groups very much know about us. and they speak very, very highly of us. One of the things that I want to do is evangelize more. That's why I am in these podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're definitely, like I was telling you earlier, like this is the first time we talked about it from this angle, syndicating from this angle, and you have produced a software that sounds very user friendly and is very informative and lays it out for such a intricate deal. Syndicating, there's so many moving parts, and you don't want to make sure you obviously don't want to make sure that you miss a thing. Not even any sense, no sense, left behind, if you want to call it that. So I like this. This is actually pretty cool. It sounds like an app, to be honest. It's that would be really cool.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. See, so do you think this sounds like the future? It sounds like you have, futurized the next step in syndicating.
I love that word, futurizing. Sometimes you don't know the future until the future arrives, and by the time it arrives, it's too late to be an entrepreneur. That's just my thinking about the world. Like now, today Tesla went up by a lot. I don't know if by the time this podcast came out, if Tesla will go back down. But back then, people know about electric cars and people know it's gonna be a booming industry. But by the time you feel the Tesla success and try to start a company, it's too late, right? So you have to take gambles sometimes. To be honest, it was by no means easy when we start out. When I started out, people have told me that it's a very gentrified, it's a very crowded industry. People have been around for 2 or 3 years before I came on the scene. They also told me that people, once they start using one software, it's really difficult for them to switch to another software because their business depends on it. It's like a CRM. Yes. I also receive feedback that it takes a long time to build, and that permission, security, and privacy are super important. You don't want to lose people's bank accounts and social security number. So there's a lot of risk and not much value. And I bootstrapped this initially. So I was putting in my own money. I'm putting a ton of money of my own to build a team, which in turn build a product and then build customers and then and do marketing. And so remember 9 months in, maybe even a year in, we didn't have a single customer, but because we don't have feature parity with our competitors. And that was, the things that we don't talk about. But as soon as you have the one customer who really liked it, and we also use our own software to raise $6.5 million, and we had no problem with it. And so that's when people start adopting. And that's when the hockey stick growth happens. That exponential growth is one of the defining characteristics of software companies. It's nothing, and then it's just everything.
No, and you stay consistent, right? Nine months to a year. And I've heard that that's the case when it comes to finding great syndications. It may take that long, and that's completely fine because the dividends in the long run is crazy. You're definitely glad that you waited and you took your time to do so. How often do you find yourselves doing syndications now throughout the year, finding deals?
We, in terms of buying deals, we do one syndication a year. Okay. I try not to do too many. Now, in this industry, once you've proven yourself as someone who's pretty good in doing syndications and you can close deals and you are like a reputable sponsor, brokers will send you deals, and they not just send you open market deals or off market deals. They will also send you deals that are already under contract. And they will tell you that so-and-so buyer is not going to perform and we are worried. If you can come in and even offer a lower price, we'll hand it off to you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we also have people, because of the ecosystem, they will get a deal under contract and they will contact me and say, Perry, I heard that you have a good network. You can raise money. Do you want to become one of our co-sponsors? That I have always said no, because I want to have full control over the quality of my asset. So all the deals I've done I am the lead sponsor with my business partner in Dallas.
And I respect that. And I understand. I can definitely relate to that. And that is the reason why I've had a hard time collaborating like on deals with individuals, because I take pride in customer service, efficiency, and the asset. I'm really big on making sure that the asset goes up in value over time. And a lot of other people's, I would say, sense of urgency is not as high and as I would like it to be. And so that's always been my definitely my headbanger since I've been involved in real estate investing. But I'm finding ways around it to where I could still scale with other people's help, but still in control. My wife and I have been talking about private lending, so where obviously still can get equity stake in the deal, can still lend money, but then obviously if the person is paying my money back, I can foreclose on them. So because I'm the first lien, so still in control, but still obviously assisting or collaborating. Because I can't allow it. So I definitely agree with you on that one, man. And I wouldn't say that's a weakness or anything like that. You can't play well with others. I think you are particular about your product, and you want to ensure that it is perfect, or at least as close to perfect as possible. So I definitely respect that and understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, so in the bigger scheme of things, where do you see yourself going? Where do you see cash flow portal going in the next 5 years?
Yeah. So cash flow portal, I think, has a ton of potential. I think real estate syndication is here to stay. Real estate syndication is growing. It is investor friendly. Never in time in history can a accredited and even some non-accredited individuals invest a small portion of their net worth into these large apartment complexes or self-storage units or mobile home parks that usually consistently perform 10 to 15% annualized return, right? Back in the day, if you don't do these private placements, you have to save up perhaps $300,000 to buy a single family in Seattle and Bay Area nowadays. And there are a lot of these, relatively wealthy upper middle class in these areas. So I think it provides an affordable way for people to get into real estate. And it also means that they don't have to do much work. So because I'm super bullish about the industry, I think there will be a ton more customers. I think there will be more people wanting to invest passively into real estate. So I do want to continue to build this business into, I don't know what the future holds, but I want to make it as successful as possible and without sacrificing long-term profit. So I'm always looking at the long term and what's the maximum value that this company can become instead of trying to go after short-term profits. So next 7 years probably wouldn't make much profit, but we'll continue to reinvest the dividends and the profit back into growing features and growing customers and giving value to our customers. There's a ton of stuff that we are doing that perhaps the other sponsor or other softwares are not doing. For example, if you are a passive investor and you have multiple deals across multiple platforms, we allow you to consolidate all your deals on a single platform. So you can view how your multifamily portfolio is performing. That is very cool. Some people do it in a spreadsheet, but if you use us, you get this nice looking graph that kind of almost like a brokerage account for your multifamily.
No, investment. Yeah, that is right? A perfect analogy.
Yeah. The other thing that we would love to do is get into underwriting and KPIs. So there are many underwriting spreadsheets out there, but it's very fragile. For example, if you want to emulate the scenario of refinance after 2 years, and then if you want to do a preferred return with a 70-30 split, versus refi after 5 years and do a waterfall distribution. It's almost impossible to take an existing spreadsheet and make it that way. So you basically have to create from scratch. But that's exactly the problem of a software. So no, I'm not saying it's easy. It's probably gonna take us 6 months to 9 months of development, but that's the money that's well spent because that's giving value to the world. And how much money we make off it, I think we'll make quite a lot, but that's not the primary goal. The primary goal is to build cool things.
No, yeah, you're right. And to your point about, not needing 300,000 to get started in syndicating, you mentioned you raised $3.4 million by 70 investors. So that's an average about $48,000. And that's definitely not as much as $300,000. So
that's right.
And right, you're getting your dividends, you're getting your money back. Obviously, there are too many things at stake for the deal to at least not provide some type of great productivity. I'm not saying, you're going to get 60% back all the time, but 10, 15%, that's great. Consistently getting that back is awesome within a span of whatever the deal is. It could be 2, 3, 5 years before y'all decide to cash out or refinance and move on. So where can people find you? Where can people find this cash flow portal? I need people to find you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way to find us is go to cashflowportal.com. We have a very professional and modern looking website. You can find us there. You can send me an email at perry@cashflowportal.com. And finally, we also have a private Facebook community called Techies in Real Estate. So you can find us in Techies in Real Estate. It's a private group. So those are the 3 main ways that you can find me.
Yeah, I love that. I love the private groups. So definitely you have that community where people are always sharing information and resources. So I like that.
Yeah, people join the community tend to ask, what is the CRM that I should use? What CRM should I use if I try to manage my investors? What is the software that I should use when I have a deal? Hint, use Cashflow Portal. What is how do I build my own website? How do I tell people that I'm legit? What is the workflow of getting investor leads and then adding it to my CRM? And then how frequent should I send emails to them? These are all very legit questions for, upcoming sponsors. There's no perfect answer, but it's a community full of people just like you.
And I want that because that's always the biggest question. How can I raise money? How can I find people? What do I do when I find the deal? What are the different roles that I need? Right. The lawyer, the accountant, bookkeeper. There's so many different jobs that obviously you can't do by yourself, but are so essential to the final product of being a successful syndication. And I love the way you broke it down, man. And I love the way that this software works, man. You kind of got me geeking out a little bit as far as the capabilities of it, because as you was explaining, I'm like, wait, hold on a second. This could really blow up. If it already has it, I just didn't know about it. But I see the potential in the software and the capabilities. And you talked about how you will even absorb their other deals, and so that they can see it the entire dashboard. That is awesome, and would make me want to just start allocating, always dealing with you versus and well, like you said, you consolidate everything. But I would in the future just want to do most of my deals with you because it's very organized, and I like spreadsheets and dashboards and being able to just see the big picture of everything. But at the same time, obviously diversify. So that's really awesome that y'all provide that. I really like that. So I like to always ask this question at the end. What is your rich state of mind? What is your big reason why you're doing all of this?
I know this is one of the questions that's coming up. I might give you a slightly different answer. There are a lot of reasons that so I'm a workaholic. I'm an overachiever. I'm very achievement oriented, achievement driven. So that's the case since I was in high school, in college, and always the top of my class, etc. So I'm a nerd as well. So one way to explain it is I enjoy financial freedom. I also enjoy control. So I like working for myself instead of working for a boss. But I think recently I came across this very interesting concept talking to one of my best friends. I said that I'm not free, but I'm very happy. Why is that? I'm not free because now I have a fiduciary duty to make the company succeed because I'm taking on funding, right? Yet I'm very happy. How can I not have the freedom yet be happy?
Okay.
And he made a good point. He said that happiness and free are actually orthogonal to each other, and that you are happy probably because you are always in a state of flow. And I think that's a true statement, that my state of mind right now is probably I'm in a state of flow. It's that I am doing things I just wanted to do anyway. So it didn't feel like work. It took me many, many years to understand what that felt like. But I think I've tasted after, I quit my job and work on this company for full time. So yeah, my rich state of mind is probably flow. And that is just oblivious focus. Knowing what I do is not really work, but to get to a mission or to prove something or to make add value to sponsors and investors. And ultimately, if the company succeeds, which it will, it's a more efficient allocation of capital, right? Sponsors become more effective, get better deals, raise more money. They can better perform. Investors have more accountability because they have a place to go to, and they can see more transparency on how the deal is doing. And it just makes everyone better off. It makes the society more efficient. So yeah, my state of mind is flow. That might be a unique answer.
It is. And I was thinking about it, I'm gonna have to use that as one of the quotes for the show notes. As far as your rich state of mind is flow. I too find a sense of satisfaction when I am being productive. I can't sit still and just do nothing for hours on end. I don't really find much pleasure in that. But I do find a lot of pleasure in constantly either feeding myself with content, information, or, applying what I've learned and, trying to build the business, figure out ways to raise capital and money. So I definitely could agree with you on that one, man. I appreciate your transparency as well.
And I appreciate this show as well. I know you have 60 plus episodes and counting. Nowadays, I do feel that people who have podcasts and who grind there for more than, a year or 2 years are just naturally, I don't know, people that I like to work with more because, in this business, you have a lot of people who talk about things and you have a lot of people who do things. And there's a lot of work that goes into, creating a podcast. It's so much work that I don't want to do it, right? But yet you did it for consistently. So I commend you for that. And that speaks more than anything you can tell me, right? The fact that you grind at it for an extended period of time.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like work when I truly enjoy it, because my biggest pet peeve was when I started getting exposed to real estate. I'm like, well, who else knows this stuff? Because this was a little bit before a lot of content got overloaded on YouTube. So it was just things that either you find in a library or you just happen to have a mentor. And if not, then you just go ignorant to what everything else is that's going on around you, different ways to make money. And so I was like, you know what, we got to do this podcast because there's so many things that I've read a lot of books, but there are some life experiences that you've gone through, I've gone through, that we never would have found in a book. That's right. So that's why I really like this podcast, because people can hear those in between pros and cons, in between tips and tricks that may not be in books that have not come out yet, or maybe they're not worth writing a whole book about. It's just maybe a 10-15 minute conversation. And you're like, oh, okay, something to take into consideration.
That's exactly right. Well put. Mm-hmm.
Well, Perry, thank you for your time, man. It's been an awesome pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you for sticking with us from the start of the episode. Please share our show with friends and family, visit our YouTube channel, and view more of our content on richstateofmind.com. See you next week on the Rich State of Mind Show.